Rolling. All right, we're rolling.
Okay. Are we good on, are the slides up yet? All right, there we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jamal Ewing, and I'm the Economic Inclusion Business Consultant with the Michigan Small Business Development Center. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, presented in collaboration by the Michigan SBDC and the U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce. We've got a lot of info to share with you today, including PPP and EIDL updates, information regarding the American Rescue Plan, and other relevant policies and programs designed to assist your small businesses. Before we get started with the webinar today, I'd like to provide a brief overview of who we are at the Michigan SBDC, how we assist small businesses like yourself, and how you can access our services. Next slide. Here at the Michigan SBDC, we assist entrepreneurs throughout their business journey. So whether you're starting your first business, opening a second or third as a serial entrepreneur, or you're already in business and looking for ways to stabilize or grow your business, we're here to assist you. Next slide. And we do so by providing services such as our no-cost one-on-one business consulting, which we'll talk about how to register for in a few minutes. Business education programs like this and other webinars. Right now, all of our content is delivered online, but when it's safe to do so, we'll have in-person workshops again. And when you work with an SBDC consultant, they can use our market research team to provide you with great secondary market research about your customers, industry benchmarks, your market, competition, and much more. Our teams of small business and business growth consultants are located throughout the state to provide you with exceptional consulting services. In addition to all of their other credentials, some of our consultants are also experts in exporting and can help you navigate the world of international trade. Also, if your business or business idea involves some sort of advanced technology that you've developed or own intellectual property rights to, we have a team of technology commercialization specialists who can help turn your advanced technology into a commercialized product. So I mentioned our business workshops. We offer a variety of business education programs which are available online. And again, when it's safe to do so, we'll offer those in person as in-person workshops. Our workshop topics range from starting a business and writing a business plan to internet and social media, government contracting, and much more. You can search our available workshops and register at sbdcmichigan.org/training. You can also schedule an appointment with one of our business consultants by visiting sbdcmichigan.org and clicking Request Business Consulting from our homepage. We're able to provide our services at no cost to our clients because we're funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration at the federal level, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation at the state level, and our local partners throughout the state who host our regional offices. So if you look at the map there on the right, you can see that no matter where you live in Michigan, you're never too far away from one of our regional offices and any one of our team members working directly in your community. If you have any questions after the webinar or you'd like to register for one-on-one assistance with your business, please take the time to register for our no-cost consulting on our website at sbdcmichigan.org and clicking the button that the arrow's pointing to there, Request Business Consulting. If you'd like to learn more about our services, you can also access our COVID-19 Small Business Support Resources page by clicking on the first link on our homepage, which is noted there. And on this page, you'll find a variety of service catalogs, instructions to get started, as well as success stories so you can learn how we've helped businesses like yours in the past. So now I'll turn it over to Beth Rosaticky, Regional Director at our Lake Huron office, to cover the next steps in today's agenda. Beth?
Thanks, Jamal. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jamal referenced, my name is Beth Rosaticky. I'm the Regional Director for the Lake Huron region. We represent 15 counties in, we'll say, Middle Eastern Michigan, so everything from Saginaw County up to Mackinac City, and everything east. So basically from the Zilwaukee Bridge to the Mackinac Bridge, and everything going over to the Lake Huron region. We are graciously hosted at Saginaw Valley State University through the Carmona College of Business. The mission of Saginaw Valley really looking at how to transform lives through educational excellence and dynamic partnerships, looking at that through values and core values of diversity and inclusion, community engagements, and acting in standards of high ethical behavior and financial stewardship. The SBDC is new to Saginaw Valley State University. I'm joining their business college in September of 2019. As you all are very well aware, the pandemic hitting in March or late winter of 2020. So we've been very integral in trying to partner with community organizations and local providers to help uplift the business communities within our region. One of those partnerships to look at economic inclusion, diversity, and equity has been with Regeneration LLC. We have Dr. Pam Pugh with us here today, who is the owner and co-founder of Regeneration LLC. I'm going to provide a little bit of background of some of the work that we're doing with them, but wanted to put some context around what their company is focused on, and then we'll flip it over to her for some comments. So Regeneration LLC is a women-owned business in Saginaw County, which serves as a catalyst to create economically sound and healthy urban communities by building capacity through effective operations and winning partnerships. Regeneration LLC has teamed up with the SBDC to create, implement, and manage innovative programs in urban communities, share resources, and equip our small business with resources to succeed and thrive. This includes assisting urban communities to create job opportunities and address disparate factors present in their neighborhoods. So, Pam, I'll turn over to Dr. Pam Pugh, share a little bit about her background. She served as the Chief Public Health Advisor for the city of Flint, Michigan from October of 16 to November of 19, and was employed by the Saginaw County Department of Public Health for 14 years. She's received her doctorate of public health from the University of Michigan School of Public Health and a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Florida A&M University. I've had an opportunity to work with Dr. Pugh over the last 6-7 years, and I'm very excited that she's partnering with us, her and her business associates, to help support small businesses in our Lake Huron region. Pam, I don't know if you can hear us okay, but you're on mute.
I am so sorry and so
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. It's the phrase of 2020 and 2021. You're on mute.
Yes, it looks so. I was just saying, Beth, it has just been an honor to be able to work with the Small Business Development Corporation here in Michigan, and particularly with you here in the in the Lake Huron region. And just knowing that those folks at SBDC took a look at their data, really looking pre-COVID, but definitely with COVID, and recognizing that there was a need to do more to make sure that our businesses strive, not only strive, but survive this global pandemic. So it has been great working with you all, defining a target population or a focus populations for us to focus on Black, Brown businesses of color, women-owned businesses, businesses that are owned by people with special needs, as well as businesses owned by veterans. And so we've been working in this region doing just that, making sure that we're setting up some sort of infrastructure where we can provide extra supports to those businesses, as well as providing professional development opportunities for the folks at SBDC, making sure that we work more closely with partners, making sure that we're providing that safety net for businesses. And so as part of that, we were able to bring along the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., and with Ron Busby and his team at U.S. Black Chambers. And so as one of our very strong partners in really helping us to keep a pulse on what's going on across the country as it relates to this time that we're in and making sure that our businesses survive and thrive. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just introduce Jaman Phoenix, who is here with us, as well as Elisa Joseph. And so Jaman is the legislative and policy advisor for USBC regarding small business, women, and minority entrepreneurs, and workforce development. Before Jaman has been with the Prism Group, and before that, Jaman worked in communications at a political sales firm in Virginia, as well as a district and federal intern for 2 Virginia members of Congress. Jaman has worked as a political campaign manager in local and state elected campaigns. Additionally, he served as his college student body president. Jaman is a native of Atlanta, Georgia. He holds a Bachelor's of Art degree in History and Political Science from Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia. And then we have Elisa Joseph. And Elisa Joseph serves as the Director of Programs at the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce and USBC Community Economic Development Corporation. She is also the founder of CINE Enterprises, LLC. Elisa Joseph is a business professional who combines generalist skills and a variety of practices, processes, and industry expertise. She's talented at marketing, professionalism. She has a proven record of accomplishment in planning and leading comprehensive marketing strategies in support of business goals and objectives. She is highly skilled, a producer of multimedia channel solutions to gain share of voice through synergy and coordination of marketing messaging. She is a graduate of Fordham University with a BS in psychology and Columbia University with an MS in organizational psychology. Elisa is married and has 3 children. She has worked in financial service field for over 25 years, specializing in strategy, product management, marketing, communications, developing program initiatives, and event execution. And so we are so happy to again continue this conversation with our U.S. Black Chambers group. And we're just happy to have you again talking to the residents of Michigan and the Lake Huron region.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Pugh. We are really excited to be here with you today, also with the Michigan SBDC, one of our partners. We have numerous partners around the country, and so the work that we do cannot be accomplished without those partnerships. So again, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. We're honored and privileged to be here with all of you today as well, so we can talk a little bit about primarily changes in the PPP programs as well as the EIDL programs and some of the things that are coming on board. Just to give you a little bit of background about the U.S. Black Chambers, we have been around for 12 years with really a mission to support, uplift, and empower Black businesses across the country. And we do that through 5 principles. The first is advocacy. So we advocate nationally for Black businesses on the Hill to ensure that there's equity and a fair share of resources and opportunities going to our Black businesses across the country. Second is access to capital. We want to ensure that you have the funding that you need in order to create the growth that is important for you to have a lasting legacy. Next is contracting. We spend time with a lot of our corporate partners as well as our federal agencies, identifying supply chain opportunities for our businesses and connecting them to those resources. Entrepreneurial training. As you know, as you heard Michigan SBC talk about this a lot, we had done a lot of training in person. We're obviously virtual, and we've just really doubled down on being able to provide you with the resources that you need, whether that be lending, financing, accounting, tax preparation, and primarily the CARES Act. We are a CARES Act center for the country, and so we leverage 142 local chambers to do a lot of the work that we're talking about today. And then finally, chamber development, in which we help to provide leadership development training for our chambers and new chambers coming on board. I want to introduce, and we'll spend a little bit of time around the kinds of programs that we offer as well. But I'd love for Jaman, who is my partner in a lot of the work that we do, to really give us an initial update of what's happening with the PPP program and the EIDL loan program. And as we continue to have this conversation with Dr. Pugh and with the Michigan SBC, we'll talk a lot about some of the other opportunities that we have for businesses in Michigan and across the country. Jaman?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Alisa, for giving that good introduction. And Dr. Pugh, really thank you for getting my name right. And so I really want to thank everybody. And of course, USBC sends its support in its advocacy right now to Michiganders in the Michigan SBDC. But particularly, you know, what I'm here to really underscore and to discuss, to Lisa's point, is the changes made to small business provisions in the American Rescue Plan. And ironically, we've been living in this pandemic over a year now, and so we are still focused on the Paycheck Protection Program. Many of you know that as of April 3rd, which is on Saturday or this week, I believe, PPP turns 1 year old. And so I think that is that's a point in a sand of how far we have come and how the pandemic is still persisting and causing dismal impact to communities of color, underserved communities, in particular Michiganders, who are vulnerable. And so the long and short of where we are right now is we are on the road to recovery as new vaccine therapies makes its way to Main Street America, makes its way to everyday American families. You know, I think it's important to note that hopefully this is the light at the end of the tunnel. In regards to the passage of the American Rescue Plan, for context around this, President Biden signed into law in Congress, passed into law, the American Rescue Plan, which is about a $1.9 trillion economic stimulus package that was enacted into law earlier this month. This is important because it provides about $300 billion in assistance for small businesses, employees, and families, among other. And so a slither of that actually went to the Paycheck Protection Program. And what's important about the Paycheck Protection Program is that it was authorized an additional $7.25 billion. And what you'll come to know later on in our discussion, throughout our discussion, that the PPP program was extended. The application period was extended to May 31st. Now, let me preface that while the PPP application period was extended, it's important to note that SBA officials has already noted that there is about $70 billion left in the program. What does this mean? This simply means that they are estimating that all the funds be eliminated or gone by mid-April. So that means if you haven't gotten a chance to take advantage of a first PPP loan, or if you have before and you need a second PPP loan, we advise you to definitely find support and assistance in getting your application in. In addition to that, ARPA also provides additional authority for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program at the Small Business Administration. And so the program received about $15 billion in supplemental funding for the SBA's Advanced Grant Program. And just recently, officials at the agency has actually raised the previous $1,000 cap for the advanced grant to a higher level. And they also included a set aside for the most vulnerable. So we are talking about women, Black and brown businesses who have not taken advantage, who hasn't taken advantage of this advanced grant, but who wants to moving forward. And in addition, it's important to know with that if you've taken advantage of a PPP loan, then you can also take advantage of the EIDL Advanced Grant because that was not there before. But with the passage of this statute, it authorizes such to take place. One of the leading provisions in this package was the implementation of a community navigated program. And what this does, it helps the billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars that was enacted in this to actually make its way to local and state communities. And so there's about $100 million in appropriation set aside for this community navigator initiative. And so while this has yet to be set up, USBC definitely takes note, and we are spearheading action to make sure that, hey, you have perfectly good centers and entities in our communities who are capable of ensuring that this critical funding makes its way to Main Street, makes its way to our smaller businesses. How about you tap on us as partners? And so that's been our messaging over the past few days, and especially over the past few hours as officials began to set up this program. And I'll just quickly note, in addition to the new programs enacted by ARPA, that the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which many of you may be very interested in, for those of you who are Hispanic, Black, and women-owned small restaurants and small business owners, that this is about a $29 billion grant program that is going to be critical for many of our restaurant owners. And so while we know this program has yet to be set up as of last week, what we are hearing, and we've been on meetings and calls regarding this program with officials, that there will be a 21-day prioritization period that's going to be critical for the most vulnerable, that's going to support and act as a set-aside for said populations. And so we are going to have more information on our USBC CARES Act landing page for you to take advantage of such and learn about the guidance. And of course, we're always here for supplemental support and guidance if you have any questions. Again, this is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program includes a 21-day prioritized period for women, veteran, Dr. Pugh mentioned veteran-owned businesses, and other socially and economically disadvantaged restaurants. And so over the next several weeks, as mentioned, the SBA will release programmatic and regulatory guidance for the program. They do have a target. Let's see if they hit it. We're certainly hoping that they do, to get this program set up by mid-April. So we are looking at over the next 2 weeks, the Community Navigator program. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund will actually be concrete and be ready for implementation and application in the next few days or so. So it's important to not just be aware of these programs, but also reach out to your partners at Michigan SBDC and learn how to be equipped when the application process opens. And so one of the last things I do want to underscore is that the SBA's Office of Disasters Assistance has set up a program and will actually, in the middle of deploying funding about $1.25 billion worth of supplemental appropriations for the Shuttered Venues Operators Grant. And so that was enacted into law with the passage of the reconciliation bill in late December, if you all could remember. But however, this ARPA passage has actually reauthorized and reappropriated, rather, the funding for this. And so that's going to be important because it allows venues and operators who are in that, who've taken a beating over the past year to actually receive some resolve and support from the federal government. And so one of the things, before I digress, I do want to mention that state entities are also not forgotten, as ARPA includes it reauthorizes about $10 billion for the State Small Business Credit Initiative, which is important. Many of you may remember in this space that this was at the Department of Treasury up until 2017. Well, ARPA actually reestablishes it. And there I could go on and on all day about taxes, provisions, and what was included and what is not included. But I will note that the things that you may need to understand is that funding is coming your way. USBC is advocating to ensure that the most vulnerable business owners actually receive support. And with the Paycheck Protection Program specifically, there are only weeks left of appropriation. So we urge you to reach out, but get on this.
Right. And so with that, what I do want to have everyone do is feel free to ask a question. I'd love to bring the entire team back if we can we shared a lot of information. I'm sure we can have some discussion around this and have Dr. Pugh, as well as the Michigan SBDC, Jamal and Beth answer any questions as well.
Beth, I do see a question from, there's a couple of good questions. There is one that is specific to the Saginaw community, because I know the person who's asking, and they ask who has been identified in our community. And if you could speak to that question. Oh, Beth, now you're on mute. Okay.
Sorry. In terms of businesses that we're supporting?
I'm thinking maybe the question might be who has been identified in our community. That may be businesses supported. And maybe I don't know if we've mentioned like the CDFIs and who might.
Well, so I'll just talk maybe in a broader context that we support any business from ideation to 100 years in business. So we are focused on those organizations that are responding to the pandemic and are wanting to thrive. We are responding to businesses that maybe have shut down and are looking at reopening. We're looking at individuals that maybe have changed careers due to the pandemic and are looking to launch a dream that they've had or an idea that they've had for a business. Specifically, we have been focused on doing outreach efforts to both those individuals that have been in business for some time, as well as those individuals that are looking to launch new ventures. So we're doing kind of that comprehensive outreach to our communities.
And I would say on the USBC side, just generally, we're doing similar things. So our goal is to reach as many Black businesses as we can. We have an ongoing series of webinars, again, touching a lot of different topics, as well as technical assistance and partners, not only like Michigan SBDC, but Dr. Pugh was mentioning lenders such as the African American Alliance of Community Development Financial Institutions. These CDFIs help to provide financing across a number of different min and max levels to aid businesses in not only their recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, but also in their ability to grow and expand. These times have have really contracted and seen a lot of businesses just fade away from view. And so financing, like we've talked about today with the Paycheck Protection Program, allows people to kind of get their footing back. There's other opportunities with people thinking about either strategic alliances together or mergers and acquisitions together to help you grow as larger companies. And so there's lots of opportunity that's out there, lots of people to be able to discuss the various options that you have as a business owner. And so we right now are really encouraging you to take advantage of everything, that all the financing, particularly that's out there, just because from a timing perspective, we don't know, particularly for the PPP program, we don't know how long that allocation is going to be available. Once people, decide that they want some of the money and they are funded for that, every day that pile gets a little bit lower. So we encourage you to really kind of jump into the pool right now so that you're able to have your portion set aside for you, but also think about all the other programs. And we, again, as you're sending us questions, we'll address those programs as well.
And I'll jump in just on one topic. One of the questions were kind of our, do we only help one area? So we are all across the state of Michigan. And there are, I believe, Jamal, correct me if I'm wrong, 64 or 68 SBDCs across the US. And so one of the questions is our help predicted to Michigan only. The Michigan SBDC, yes, but there's one in Florida, there's a handful in Texas, there's a handful in California. And we're actually talking nationwide on how we can learn some of the work that's happening in pockets of our partnering SBDCs across the US, and how we can mirror some of their work on economic inclusion, and as well as our outreach efforts to minority businesses as a whole. So we're constantly having those conversations as well. Go ahead.
And I would just add, we have 142 chambers, local chambers across the country. We work with a number of other diverse chambers, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, the LGBT Chamber, and others. So this is, when we're on platforms like this, we recognize that this goes all over the country. And so when we're speaking, we want to represent kind of the areas that we're in, but we want you to also know that we have access across both of our groups to other people and other organizations across the country to make sure that you get connected with who it is that you need to speak to for your particular need.
And we have a great question in the chat box. One of the questions is the SBDC the navigators for the Communities for Business? No, the SBDC are not the community navigators that are coming through the American Rescue Plan, and Jaman can probably speak to that a little bit in greater detail. We will work with community navigators to help advance your business. We will work in partnership. We're still learning what those community navigators will look like, but are probably more excited than the businesses to have these added resources to be able to help us in our communities. But I'll flip it over to USBC if they have any additional comments on what that will look like.
Yeah, I think that those sentiments actually provided great context around community navigators. Again, this is a critical program. It's something that President Biden himself has championed in the last several weeks, well before ARPA was signed into law. And so the Community Navigators Program, while it is critical, the SB8 is still in the infancy stage of ensuring that it's implemented correctly. So SBDCs aren't expected to be a community navigator, but I will preface and note by saying that nothing is concrete in regards to the details of that program as of yet. So it will be too premature, of course, to actually share the expanded details and knowledge of it. We advise you, if this is something that you're interested in, or a subject that we all, of course, should be interested in, because it it ensures that appropriate funds get to our communities to keep up with our CARES Act landing page at usblackchambers.org to find more information as it unfolds.
Wonderful. One of the questions as well was, is there a directory for how to connect with the navigators? Not at this time, but there is for the local SBDC as well as the USBC. There's I think Russell can enter into the chat box how to register for consulting any place in the state of Michigan. Takes maybe about 60 to 90 seconds to complete the electronic request. And there's a handful of information in the chat box as well from the US Black Chambers Inc. On how to connect with them further as well.
And if I may add, one of the things that we were doing as Regeneration LLC was to help, again, as I introed when we first started, is really to help our businesses to make sure that they had a safety net around them and making sure that we were setting up an infrastructure. So here within Michigan, in the Lake Huron region, we did start something that we were calling a peer-to-peer, where we had folks who, myself and I had two other partners who were actually more versed than myself in business, in small business, that were providing this safety net and co-consulting, but we were doing co-consulting with the Small Business Development Corporation. And we're hoping that a model like that will be something that will be used for the navigators. As has been mentioned, we don't know what that will look like, who the navigators will be, but we do have an infrastructure here in Michigan in this region that we were beginning to set up to set up as a model. So I just wanted to add that.
We got one other question coming in. If a community wanted to start a Black Chamber chapter, how would they go about that process? Oop, you're on mute, dear.
Sorry about that. Our process right now is that you would let us know through our email programs at usblackchambers.org, and we will connect you with our chamber development manager who will walk you through that process, help you get set up. We have monthly chamber meetings, so we stay very connected with our chambers in helping them sort of understand all of the new things that are coming out. They work very closely with their local community, county, and state organizations, representatives, and government agencies, and so have access to lots of other resources. So that is the best way to reach us right now, programs at usblackchambers.org.
And I noticed in the chat box, there was a resource link to the buyblack.us and for a free directory and certification platform. Can you share a little bit more about the certification platform and what that entails?
Absolutely. So the USBC has launched a platform called BuyBlack, BYBLACK.us. It has a couple of features in it. The first is we want you to be recognized as a Black business across the country, and we want Black businesses to network with each other. We want consumers to find you to purchase your products, for corporations to find you to purchase your products. And so if you go to buyblack.us today, as we're talking, you can onboard your business. It takes literally about 5 minutes. And it gets you sort of connected to the broader directory. We also work with Google as in helping them develop and distribute their Black-owned business badge. That, in conjunction with our BuyBlack platform, really does enable people to find you more readily through Google search. And so we spend time with our businesses, helping them understand that, giving them direction in terms of how to install that badge. And that really does give you an advantage in sort of boosting your business within Google search up to the top of the queue, which is really important for people to be able to find you. The other thing that we will be doing as part of buyblack.us shortly is we will be launching our certification program. There is no Black certification program across the country. There are minority certification programs. And so this is a very unique program that we're offering. We're really excited about that launch. And we will, if you haven't been certified before, or if you are certified with other agencies, whether that be, local, county, or state, in addition to federal programs like Department of Transportation and others, we invite you to apply with us and to be part of our program. Again, it allows us to connect with our corporate partners and be able to highlight and feature you in the work that we're doing. Another thing I'd like to talk about, and you'll hear more about this over the next couple of months, is we're working with Amazon to expand presence of our businesses in the Amazon store, both on the Amazon Web Services platform, as well as just the Black store process and the broader store within Amazon. And so particularly for those businesses that are selling products, more specifically, those of you who might be certified, we're going to be doing some initial passes across the country in terms of developing a list of companies that we want to be able to help onboard and have you go through that process. So again, if you reach out to us at programs@usblackchambers.org, we can begin to sort of collect information, send you an interest form, and the like. But right now, would love you to go to buyblack.us and try it out. If you're interested in our certification, we can at least begin to get you in the queue. So again, programs@usblackchambers.org. Again, all of this is really to help you be able to expand and scale your business quickly, have more people be able to find and recognize you, and obviously to increase your revenue.
I just want to jump in really quick too. So in regards to SBDC from a statewide perspective, there's been a few programs that have been targeted to underserved communities throughout the state, regionally, that we're looking to expand statewide. So working on that right now. We're also involved with our national group, the ASBDC, or America's SBDC, on rolling out what they're calling the Inclusivity Project, which is focused on Black and Brown businesses and increasing resources and access to our services in those communities. So, working on that currently.
Right. And one of the things I'd also recommend for folks, we're talking a lot about federal programs today, but don't still stay in touch with what's happening with you locally in your states and with your counties. There are still grant programs that are being developed every day. That give you, and again, as a grant, you don't have to pay it back. And so that's really the cheapest form of capital that you can get right now. But there's a lot of interest in really helping businesses come back, particularly Black and Brown businesses. And so I'd encourage you to look at that. We also promote other programs that we see, some of them corporate, some of them organizationally or nonprofit driven or philanthropically driven, so that you can find the latest information on what might be out there, what timeframes are in terms of the application process and the like. But please also look at any of your websites locally or within your state to see if there are other programs that are coming out. There are programs every day being developed, and so we don't want you to miss out on that as well.
Yeah, I actually want to before we move to the next point, I want to underscore Elisa's sentiments. I think that was very timely and critical to say. While USBC focuses on advocacy through the lens of what's happening in Washington, D.C., we've definitely been keeping up with what has been happening across the nation in different municipalities as it relates to supporting vulnerable businesses. I think we did a webinar earlier this year with Michigan SBDC, and we mentioned how there were several initiatives in the Detroit area that have come together, local initiatives, both private and public sectors, to support businesses and small businesses in that area. And so that is clear indication, to Elisa's point, that there are supports at many levels. But what we do want to ensure that you all are aware that there is support at the federal level And as such, we definitely wouldn't mind sharing. So please follow up and reach out to us.
I was just going to build on that. There's 2 examples of local funding that have been advertised through our Saginaw DDA and Bay County DDA related to facade grants. And so looking at how they can update Main Street. So if a sign costs you $2,000, how can you use these grants to help backfill and so forth during these troubled times and times where you don't know how things are going to continue to evolve. So those are the resources that the SBDC locally can help connect to, working with our economic development corporation partners at a county level, but as well as a regional level and then at a state level. So really, how do we build that stack of resources, both financial and technical assistance, to be able to navigate through right now?
Absolutely. There's 2 questions that are coming in, and the one of them, I don't know that we answered the question. What was that question? It was, I got my EIDL advance and the full EIDL. Can you explain the repayment terms on this, and also any forgiveness? Also, how do I connect with my local USBC for one-on-one coaching?
So Jamal, do you want to take the first part and I'll take the second?
Yeah, I definitely can. I think that this is a great question in terms of I think it is frequent. And so now that congratulations on getting your EIDL advance and the full EIDL. And so in regard to your repayment terms and forgiveness, I think it's best to one, make sure you go to the SBA's landing page for EIDL and understand that you qualify for levels of forgiveness. What's the difference between the PPP loan and the EIDL program, of course, is that PPP is fully forgivable. EIDL is not. That is just what it is, a loan. And you do not have to pay back the EIDL advance grant, but the EIDL loan, you mentioned that you got it in full, will have to be repaid. And so the SBA and also the Department of Treasury, under a specific EIDL or CARES Act funding page, has guidance on whether and conditions, on whether you owe back partial or full funding. But that's a technical question. It's important, but it's not, of course, we would need more information, supplemental information to help guide you to the right place and help provide a formal answer. And so with that, I do suggest reaching out to your local USBC so that they can connect you with us. And I turn it over to Elisa.
Sure. And just to follow up on the EIDL advance and full EIDL piece, our CARES Act page, which is usblackchambers.org/CARES-Act / has a lot of these up-to-date information pieces for you. So it gives you a good overview of the kinds of things that are forgivable. As we mentioned, the EIDL loan itself is not, but PPP obviously does have provisions that where payroll and certain expenses are forgivable. I always recommend that you talk to your accountant or your tax advisor as relates to that before you take out any credit whatsoever. But the good news with the EIDL program, at least, is that you're getting a very low interest rate. Most of them are like 1 or 2%. So that helps a lot. And I think even the terms have been expanded and extended in some cases, depending on what you're doing. And then ultimately, once we get down this track, because right now most of the focus is really on either PPP or idle lending among banks and other providers, they'll start to open up a little bit more in terms of other programs that, for instance, the SBA has. So that could be 7A programs or 504 programs and the like. So you'll have an opportunity to recast your loan if needed, depending on where you are and depending on how quickly or how quickly you're expanding or how fast that revenue is coming in for you. So, use this time to really get your business on the track that you want it to be, to really begin to grow your revenue. And then that'll give you lots more opportunity as you move into next year and the year after to make some other decisions. As it relates to your local USBC chamber, we have chambers probably in about 42 or 45 states. So we're not in every single state. Depending on where you're located, you can, as I mentioned, just email us at programs@usblackchambers.org. We will connect you with the chamber or connect you with the local resource. But again, it all depends on where you're located. We are revising our webpage at usblackchambers.org so that you'll be able to more readily connect directly with the chamber that's in your market. So we've got some new chambers that have come on board, and so we're doing some refreshes, but feel free to go there as well.
So we have about 8 minutes left or so in the session today. We'll do a final call for any last questions. And then we could potentially go over any key takeaways and upcoming events that we want to share. That sounds good with the team? So last call for questions.
I do see one question, and I'm not sure if we answered this one. Hi, team. Where can one find the link list of current American Rescue Plan, et cetera, programs, incentives? And I'm not sure if that was dropped in the chat yet.
So I can tell you, at least for USBC, you'll find it on our usblackchambers.org/CARES-Act/page. That's where any information relative to PPP is listed, or any government program is listed as it relates to CARES Act and really trying to help businesses get back on the path to growth. So that is the best place to find the information there for any updated or new incentives coming out or updates to current programs that are there.
And for SBDC, it would be our homepage, sbdcmichigan.org, and then clicking on the COVID-19 Business Resources tab. And that has all of our resources in regards to PPP, IDO, or anything CARES related, like Elisa mentioned.
And I think those were the last questions that I saw, Beth. And again, it's just been a pleasure to be a part of this team and this group who is forming this safety net around our Michigan small businesses. So thanks for having Regeneration LLC and myself, and thanks for SBDC for hosting the second event with US Black Chamber. And thank you for our friends at the Black Chamber who are always there for us.
We'll do this again, so feel free to invite us back. We love to do this work and connect directly with our partners and with businesses. So we've still got a little bit of a haul in this in particular, but as I mentioned, we have other programs and things coming out as well. So once we get to that section, you'll see some of the newer things that are going on with USBC.
Wonderful. When we look forward to those opportunities. Before we close, does the USBC want to share any events that they have coming up in the near future? And then we can, the Small Business Development Center can share a few, and then we can close out.
Absolutely. So if you have our slides, we definitely can run through those quickly. Great. So we move to the next slide. You'll see a mention about buyblack.us, which we mentioned in terms of our platform. As we had this conversation, I encourage everyone on this call to go there today, if you don't go there right now, and to sign your business up. You'll be getting, information as we begin to expand access across both certification, supply chain opportunities, peer-to-peer networking, consumer engagement, and the like. On our next slide, I think I mentioned the Grow with Google platform. So if you go to grow.google, this is where you can just put on this Black-owned verification badge, and that's going to make it a lot easier for customers to find you. So as part of your digital strategy, want to make sure that you're connecting all the dots as it relates to both Google My Business, your Google Analytics, and again, any of your social media that you're utilizing as well. The next slide is really going to talk a little bit about some upcoming events that we have. Tomorrow, in particular, we have a federal tax update that we're hosting. And so if you go to usblackchambers.org/webinars, you can see the list of of events that are coming up. We have one on February 16th. I believe I'm doing one on February 6th, focused on succession planning with Chase. Shay Taylor is their business banker. And then we have the Career Mavericks doing a number of sessions as well. So there's plenty to choose from. We try to cover all topics that we think are going to have an impact across businesses and across industry. And you can also go back and view past webinars that we've done on our YouTube channel and on that webinar page, because we do post those. So if you don't even have time, or you've kind of planned and you might have missed the session, please feel free to come back and view. We keep those videos up for quite a long time. Since we've started this last year, you can go back and revisit all of our videos across every kind of topic you can imagine. So please utilize the on-demand video feature. Our next slide is going to talk about an upcoming event that we have that we would love for you all to join. On April 14th, so please save this date. The time is going to be between 11 and 3. I don't have the exact time now, but it'll be an hour session where we are going to talk all things COVID-19 vaccine related. We recognize that this is a critical point in time for you to get your business back on track, have customers coming into you, keeping your employees and your customers safe, keeping yourselves and your families safe. So as leaders, as business leaders, community, we are really sort of leading the charge and helping our businesses support in that effort of providing vaccine related information through the rest of this year in our communities locally. COVID has hit our communities, Black communities, the hardest. Hospitalizations as well as deaths have really impacted us, and so it's been as part of that 525,000 number right now, we're a significant portion of that. And so we want to make a difference in Black communities. We see our Black businesses as leading the way in that charge. And so we invite you to join us on the 14th. You can have, relatives, friends, and the like, but we are going to roll out through this kickoff a campaign around the COVID-19 vaccination program itself, as well as having landing pages and resources for you to figure out where you can find your vaccine through, some online resources, giving you some data points, and really just helping to provide the information that I believe our community so desperately needs in this time. And then the final slide, I believe, really just talks about how you can reach us for more information. So this is the link to where you can find more CARES Act information, where you can find any information related to COVID, any updates, any resources, some of our partners that we're working with. You can join us at weekly webinars. We have a series called Thursday's Edge, where we work with our corporate partners in providing topics that they want to be able to share with all of you in terms of increasing your digital capabilities, particularly in this time. And as I mentioned, other things that are going to be coming up, like our Amazon program, like Buy Black and our certification program. And so just really stay in touch with us is probably the best way to know what's going on. You can reach us via social media. So I believe you can reach us at US Black Chambers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, as well as USBC, CEDC, which is our 501c3, and that delivers a lot of our financial education programming across the country. So please stay in touch with us. We love talking to folks, engaging with folks online, as well as getting you to join us at various sessions and topics and conversations that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And we're 1 minute after our time limit, and I am just excited with all of the information that we're able to spread in this short hour time frame. Huge thank you to our partners, the US Black Chamber team as a whole. Look forward to having many more of these sessions over the coming weeks and months. Huge thank you to Dr. Pam Pugh and her team at Regeneration, as well as Jamal at the Lead Center, and Russell, who has been working behind the scenes to make this Facebook Live event happen for us today. Thank you all to our small businesses, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon.